All right, everybody. Are y'all ready for putting it all together? All right, so how's the content been so far? Has this been helpful? Fantastic. Really, really appreciate y'all sticking it out. I know software presentations aren't exactly the most riveting thing, but we try to make it as interesting as we can with the giveaways and everything else. But this is an investment in your jurisdiction. It's an investment in yourself. So taking the time to learn these things and get better at them makes things better for everybody. So thank you for making that sacrifice to do that. All right, so I got my water here. See how my voice holds out. Now this is a challenging presentation because as you saw, we had many different segments all throughout today, and now we're going to put them all together. So first, I'm going to be the narrator. Trey is behind the scenes here. I use the customer portal presenter. He is going to pretend to be our contractor. So he's your favorite local jurisdiction contractor. You know, they do everything perfect all the time, always super sweet. That's Trey. All right, and then we're gonna have our permit tech. That's gonna be Miss Amber. Amber is going to be our permit tech. First line of defense with the contractors, right? Yep, valuable service permit techs, because you do what? Stop the plan reviewers from having to necessarily deal with all of that. So then we're gonna have Mr. Ben, and he's going to be a plan reviewer. Fun fact, Ben used to be a customer. And he just saw us having too much fun at MGO, and he's like, nah, I gotta go work for them. But Ben is actually a coastal scientist. He worked with the floodplain, so a lot of very fascinating and interesting projects if you ever get a chance to talk with him. But he used our software for 5 years as a customer before coming to work for us with a software trainer. But today, plan review. And then, because we're a jurisdiction of affluence, we have a plan review manager, and that is Mr. Jenkins. So Ben gets managed by Mr. Ken, because you know we have other plan reviewers, but for this illustration, we're just illustrating one. But he's over the plan reviewers. He's making sure the letters go out, they're correct, and everything is moving. So that's what we're going to show. Now look, as you saw, you really have a lot of options with how you do your workflows, right? And there's different strategies that you can use. That's why, you know, some of you or jurisdictions ask me all the time, Ron, we're going to make this easy. Just copy Georgetown. Just copy such and such. I'm like, oh. It's not that simple, because there's a lot of questions about how you want to do business that may not be apparent in that workflow. So for example, one question that you have to ask yourself is, how do we want to send the plan review letter? Do we want to have a plan reviewer, when they finish the review, send the letter themselves, or do you want to have a gatekeeper, someone that's a manager or just maybe one plan review that takes that responsibility to send it on behalf of all the plan reviewers so that it's one letter that goes out with all the comments? So do you want a bunch of letters going out or one letter? That matters. That decision that you decide on will determine how you set up the workflow. Now, we can't illustrate all the different examples, right? So we're picking one. So the example that we are picking is where there is a gateway person or a manager that's sending the letter on behalf of all of the plan reviewers. You don't have to do it that way. Many jurisdictions don't, many do. But this is just what we've picked to illustrate the functionality, and you can customize it how you want. All right, is everybody with me so far? All right, next thing that we're gonna have here is we have this Slido app. This is really what I got this for, is for this session. The other sessions, I just put it in because we had it. And I think it's gonna be great because as you've logged questions, I can follow up with them. But here's the one where we normally get a lot of questions. So the barcode that's on the screen right now is for the customer side. So if you want to go ahead and queue up and do the QR code on it and get in that chat room, so any questions to the customer side, you can do that. And I'll give you a second to do that. And also, if you look on the agenda, there's the QR codes there as well. And then here in just a second, we're going to switch to the next one. And that's going to be the jurisdiction slot. So there'll be 2 chat rooms so we can track the questions separately. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to have 3 stopping points. So we're going to go through a couple of segments back and forth. We're going to stop. We're going to see what questions we have, and we're going to give an opportunity for audience questions. And then this is our panel that can answer your questions. So we got plenty of time. We don't have to be in a rush. Log your questions as you go. We'll have an opportunity. This is a time for you to really help you understand how all these things individually fit together. And this is the real power of what our software can do. And this is, people ask, well, how long does it take to set up? You got to get all this working together. But when you do, man, you can automate your office. Yes. All right, so just the one QR code? All right, correction. We now have just the one QR code, and we're good. So just get in the Slido from the QR code, and then you can, as you think of any questions, we'll go, and we'll have an opportunity. We'll stop, and we'll answer them. All right, am I missing anything? All engines go? All engines go. All right, let's see how we do. All right, so we have Trey behind the screen. He's at home. He's in the field. He's in his car. He's got the mobile app. Doesn't matter. He could be doing any of those things. And now Trey can move forward with applying online. So here he goes. He was at the customer portal. He's selecting an application. And now he's filling out the application. So we're doing the address and other information. So here he is with the contacts. And so he's filling out the form. He's pretty quick, doing a great job here. He could save his application here if he wanted and come back another day, but he's not going to do that because he's trying to get that permit in. So the questionnaire here can be completely customized with the admin tool. You can do it yourself, any questions that you want here, but he's putting in the different content, answering the different questions, selecting the different fields. All right, now he's on the file upload. Here's a great opportunity. You can have more than one file upload, as we have here. You can have different descriptions for each one, especially something for like a new commercial permit. This is a great time to really get in there and detail that out, and you're going to save yourself a lot of time in your turnaround time on plan review. All right, and now we're at the review. He can submit the application. All right, right here is important. That pop-up you just saw, the second that the contract Trey saw that pop-up, he has an application number or online request number. You have the application. So people ask all the time, well, when does it get? Is there a delay? Sometimes we have jurisdictions that haven't been checking applications and they try to blame us and go, oh, well, no, there's no delay. When they got that pop-up, which is instant, you absolutely have it. So help your contractors and public know that sometimes they're looking for an email, which is fine, but sometimes they miss the email. That does not matter. Help them to really understand when you saw that confirmation number, you have their application. That's really all they need to understand. Now, once they hit OK on that confirmation screen, that's great. Now they're looking at this bright yellow bar. What does this bright yellow bar mean? It means their application submitted, but it's locked. Now, why are we locking it? Because at this point right now, you could be looking at it. You could be checking it. Do you want them changing information on you? Do you want them uploading more files that you didn't know before you accepted it? No, you don't want that. So we're locking it. They know it's locked because of the yellow to give you an opportunity to make a decision. And the decision you're going to make is very simple. And we're going to take a look at that next, I believe. All right, so now we're at the permit tech. Miss Amber over here, who's very studious, always on top of it, giving great KPIs. She's in her application queue. So here we see she went to the application, she opened it up. She can see every question, she can see every file that was uploaded, and then she can make a decision on what needs to happen here. All right, so she can see other projects that were linked to this. Very thorough, Amber. Excellent job. She's looking at the files. Oh, she opened one up. Scope of work. Looks good to her. Or does it? She's checking some of the questions, the answers. So everything is right here on one page. Oh, she's leaving a comment. It looks like you may have uploaded the wrong document for the site plan. please resubmit. All right, so great. So she had a problem with the document. Does she have to call the person? No. She just leaves the comment. She's going to save the comment. It date time stamps it. And she's going to press return. All right, so now she's returned it. Now Amber can go on to the next application. She didn't have to call the person. She just needs to return it to them, and they got it back. Now, the second she presses return, watch what happens. Boom, it's now red. There's a push notification. So they get an email with Amber's comments. So multiple things of information are telling Trey that he put the wrong document and that he needs to correct it. So he sees that. He's going through the process of correcting it. He can upload information. We made a change recently, which this was better. Now, as soon as if he leaves a comment, it's going to automatically submit it, because we had a problem. Sometimes people would leave a comment, not submit it. They didn't understand. So we just put, if they leave a comment, it submits it back. So that really helps that. So now it's back to yellow. So it was in red, very visible. And look, that's push notification. So what that means, if Trey was at his house and he had that in his living room, and he got up and was in the kitchen getting some coffee, he could look out across and he would automatically see that turn red without having to touch that screen. The screen would dynamically change without him having to refresh or anything else. So great visual information. Just like Facebook, he can click that log, can see everything that's going on right there. All right, so the application, he is corrected. He didn't have to ever talk to Amber. Little secret, Trey doesn't like Amber. So they really like this software, so they just hate mail each other back through applications and questions. But so they like the software about this. All right, so let's go ahead with the next step. All right, so now Amber's checking the application queue. Her favorite contractor, Trey, is back. She is not muttering under her breath, did he get it right this time? And she's checking the plan, and to her surprise, there we go, a site plan, not a Word doc describing what you want to build. So she's going to get this out of her hair. She don't want to deal with this no more. She's going to press accept. She's going to process the files. Notice she's checking off every file she wants to bring over. This is an opportunity to rename the file as well. She presses accept, magic happens, and now we have the project, and we can hit the go to MGOC button, and we're in MGO Connect's project page, and we have a project number. How easy was that? Did you see that as a permit tech, her having to type in all this information? No, because all those fields were mapped, so when she pressed accept, all of that information came over. Look what's filled out right here. We have a project number. We have a description. There's lots of, we already have the GIS verification done because she did it on the application side. There's lots, so if today you're going, well, I don't have all of that, you just don't have the mapping. So you have the application set up, but there's no fields from the application to your permit mapped, so you're not getting that automation bringing them over. Just see Trey, he'll be happy to knock that out for you real quick. It's actually not hard to do. But if you're lacking that, get with Trey. These are things that can really make your implementation shine and save a lot of work for Amber, right? Okay, so now we have that done. Let me see where I'm at on my paper here.
The applicant gets alerted.
Okay, so we got one more, and then we're going to do questions. All right, so let's roll. All right, so we have the customer portal. So what does Trey see? Everything was good. It turned green. He was able to now open his project, and then he is alerted. All right, and now I believe we're ready for questions. Am I right on that? All right, good. All right, so first, let's go to the Slido. Oh, look at it, we're getting better. New software for us, but we're getting it. All right, so let's see what we have, and I'm gonna try to let our panel answer the question. Go ahead, keep the questions coming in, not a problem. Anonymous. Nope, it's okay to put your name. We're not going to be mad at you. It's all right. All right, anonymous, whoever you are here. We often have instances where customers fill out the application but forget to hit the submit button. Will MGO send a reminder notification to a customer who who may have saved an application in the system but haven't submitted it after so many days. Well, I'm going to go ahead and take that one. So currently, we're not doing something that's an automatic reminder, but I think that's a good idea. That would be probably a great feature to have where they can be alerted to that. So I'm going to put that on my future development list, and maybe even give some kind of an option where they can opt out of it, because some people save applications and they're fine with that, right? They don't want to be notified. So we'll look at an enhancement for that in the future. But I do want to let you know, and I know like Hayes County and a few others use this, from the application queue, you can see what's been saved. So if you're kind of curious, I just want to see who's out there with applications for our jurisdiction that they haven't submitted. You can check that anytime you want. And if it's a contractor you know and you think, okay, legit, maybe they just need some help, you can reach out to them. So that is an option for you from that. All right. I think that answers that question, but let me know if answer the question, you want to follow up, put it in, or raise your hand. We can do live audience too. And I think we're using all the mics, so we'll see what we can do. All right, will the system tell the customer that they've tried to load the previous file in error if they send the same file again? All right, does anybody want to take that?
I know it tells the jurisdiction when you're trying to upload it.
Yeah, from the customer side, I think it'll let them just keep uploading. Go ahead, Troy.
I don't have a mic, but I can talk pretty loud. Currently, no, the system doesn't tell you on the customer side if you uploaded the same document twice. That's something that we could possibly look at in the future. Right now, we don't have the capability to actually see the content of the document itself. That's sort of what we do in the review process before the application is accepted.
Yeah. And let me also say, this is where these AI add-ons are great opportunities. So while our system isn't designed to read the file, you can get AI options that can. And I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow at lunch. We're going to have a big AI presentation. Come to it because I think it's going to be really good. But we're going to explain how AI is kind of like a digital brain, and it can read the files and make decisions. And you can have checks to make sure everything is there. And so we'll talk more about that, where AI really becomes a solution for this as an add-on. All right, is there a document size limitation? Short answer is no. The system will let you upload an unlimited number of documents. There is a limit at a ½ gig per file. So, and that's really to protect you, because if we didn't, then somebody could upload a terabyte file and then choking your whole network. So they can upload as many files as they need. There's no aggregate file size, but each one file shouldn't be larger than a ½ gig, which is very large. All right, let's see next. Can we have a select all option when importing application documents to the project?
That would be awesome.
Have we addressed that in MGO Connect yet?
I believe it was something on your list. I don't know if we got to it yet.
All right, so we haven't gotten to it yet, but we're working towards it. Y'all getting me in trouble now. All right. All right, so the permit text screen is in the MPN format, but once accepted, it moves into MGO format. Excellent observation. I have a feeling it may have came from that table over there. Nope, over there. All right. No, good observation. So right now, as you saw what happened, if you're in the MGO Connect task queue, and there's a new queue there, and you press accept, you're correct. You will right now see the MPN page to accept. And then you have the option, you just press the button, and you're right back into MGO Connect. I haven't converted that one piece yet, because one, it's just super complex, and I've been trying to get some of the other stuff done. So it's not hurting anything, but you don't have to log in and log out or anything like that. But we did kind of put in the acceptance part of that workflow. But this is something very soon that I am going to be converting. But for right now, it does utilize that for at the moment. It accepts it, and then you're in MGO Connect, and you just keep going. Does that make sense? All right, good question, very perceptive.
Great observation.
All right, what is the name of the application acceptance feature that Trey can set up for us? Do we have to be on MGO Connect to use it. And thank you, Wayne, for that question. I think what you're talking about is the mapping, is that correct? Yeah, so we call that, so there's there's the application processing is the back and forth process. They can return it or they can accept it. The feature specifically that when you accept it and all the information from the application is automatically on the permit, that is the mapping. So if you talk to Trey that, hey, I want to map my questions from the applications to fields on my permit, he can absolutely help you with that, and he'll know what you're talking about.
And no, you don't have to be on MGOC.
Yeah, we can do that now in MPN. Can the submitted date be used on application in queue instead of created date? So we've made some changes with that in MGO Connect. It's been a little while since I've played with it. Do you remember exactly what we did with that?
I believe it's in development to be changed, but we can look into that just to make sure. It also could possibly be for both, depending on the situation.
All right, we'll get back to you on that question because I don't want to give you the wrong information. I know that's something we've had some discussions, we've done some things. I want to see exactly what it is. There will be some improvements with that with MGO Connect. One of the situations that can happen is when you use created date. It's not an issue if you process your applications quickly, right? So if you're a jurisdiction, you get them in, you turn them out, it doesn't matter at all. If you're a jurisdiction that tends to be backed up and you kind of have these long lists of applications and use created date, then they can kind of show up in the middle, especially if you've been going back and forth and you may not notice it. Because maybe you had somebody from a month ago, it got returned, your queue's kind of backed up, now it's sorted by the created date, so it's not on the bottom or the top, it's kind of in the middle, can cause confusion. We understand that, and there's some things I know we've looked to address that. I thought we did it, but we'll find out exactly, but it's definitely on the radar. Is the intent to have something like Blitz AI check that the uploaded blank PDF is not the required document, even without a true sufficiency check? That is on the table. So there's a lot of different things they can do. Mike's gonna kind of talk a little bit about the demos. He's been sitting with that in tomorrow. They can do the sufficiency check. The sufficiency checks are like the easiest part. Just, hey, do we have a site plan? Do we have this document? But then you can it can read the documents, understand what's there, it can know what your local codes are, and then inform the user, hey, this doesn't even meet code, don't even bother sending a plan because it's not gonna pass. And you can get as detailed with that. I think for they're doing Fort Worth, Texas, and I wanna say it was like 580 separate review checks that they've trained the AI to do for that. Now they're also paying like $400,000 to do that, right? So it can get expensive depending how deep you wanna go. But one of the things that we're talking with them about is how you can have real cheap, like $2,000 or something like that, just one time, and have a couple of checks, and then based on what your needs or what are the most important checks, you can slowly scale up and even do some of these more advanced things. So a lot of conversation here. So understand a lot of these AI things, if they're free, it's probably a toy. It's probably not doing a whole lot for you, because the tokens and the technology it just costs money at this point. And then you can get expensive really quick, but it can be very powerful and very custom, but a lot of times there's a sweet spot. So that's really, as an industry, where you want to be at, is trying to find what makes sense today, start with that, and then maybe over time continue to add more and more, is kind of how we're at our office looking at AI. All right, so that's all the Slido questions. Does anybody else have a question you didn't put in but you'd like to ask?
So we did have a good bit more questions come in, but just so we can get to the next section, we're gonna add those questions to the next Q&A.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so let's see where we are. We are on the jurisdiction. Miss Amber now has her project, and based off of the workflow, she has work that's been assigned to her to do. So let's see what she is doing. Anytime now, Amber. Lunch break's over. All right, she's going to her requirements. She's taking a look at the workflow. First step, application processed. And that's just, it could be whatever she wants, but she looked it over. She's like, everything is good here. I'm marking it as complete. The next step, which could be another person, but in this jurisdiction, it's still for Amber, it's going to be about adding fees. So based off the questions, she is determining what fees that they need to pay. She's adding that to the project. She's going to payment. She's double checking it, making sure everything corrected it. And now she's going to mark off the step that the fees have been added, and that is now done. So now we're in stage 3. Now notice there's an automation here. Amber doesn't have to do anything. The automation, she just closes it, she can just walk out the door. The system is still working for you. And this one is send review fees invoice auto. So now we're going to, the system on its own is going to automatically send an invoice to the customer with all those fees. And we can see that taking place here. They're going to get that application. He got an email. Here's the application with the invoice with all of the fees added, with instructions of how to go pay online. So that's a big thing we always try to add to the invoice. So Trey can be 10 o'clock at night now. He used all his daylight hours to work. He's online. He goes ahead and he pays it with a credit card, with Paystar, a provider. Could pay with ACH if you have that as an option. And it's done. And he can see, he can print his receipt and everything else with that. All right, so now that it is paid, we're at Ben. We're in the plan review process. So notice Amber didn't have to do nothing because the workflow is telling who needs to do what work. So Amber is unbothered. She don't have to do it Trey no more. She don't even care that he paid. But Ben now is alerted that he needs to do the plan review. So he's going to start. He's going to go ahead and create a DMS session like we looked at earlier today. So he's going to do the building and plan review. He's selecting the files that one day are going to be AI checked, that they should already be right. But he's going to double make sure. So he's got the DMS session going. He's opening the plan review, which he's default, it's a blue beam, so he can go ahead and make whatever changes. And notice on that left-hand bar, we can see other activities. So we can see that another reviewer has taken place. So there's not just, Ben may be doing the building review, but maybe we have a planning review. Another reviewer is doing that simultaneously. It looks like this person also is named Amber. And so we have a plan reviewer, Amber, who's working alongside. Ben can see what they've saved. So now we see Ben's changes and we see Amber's changes all right here. So Ben, he's happy with everything. He's combining them. Notice how it's 2 different files. He's making that all as one. He's closed the session. So we're done with that part of the review. Now he's doing the letter that we looked at earlier. Oh, denied. There was a problem that he saw here. There is an issue with the porch. Those porches, they'll get you. Probably not even connected to the house. Please update for another review. So he's saving this comment. And now look carefully what he's going to do. He's not sending the letter, but the building review is not passed. So he's going to change that to needs info. But the other review, the planning review, it did pass. So Amber, way easy on the plan reviewer side of things, it went ahead and marked it as completed. But the building review, it's at info needed. So now on the customer portal side, they can see this. They can track and see that that's happening. But let's go ahead. But notice that because of the way we're configured here, for efficiency, Ben doesn't have to do that review. And now let's see what takes place next. So now we're at the manager side, the gateway. Mr. Ken checked his queue. He can see that Mr. Ben has completed the review. It's at info needed because of the step that told him it was put to advance. So he's going to go ahead and generate the letter. He's going to make sure it has all the, Mr. Ken is smooth with the public. Mr. Ben's a little abrupt and get some city manager meetings called. So Mr. Ken's making sure we got all the right language that we want that's friendly, and he's getting that letter sent out. Notice he doesn't have to use Outlook. He just pressed the email button. He checked off the contact. There's Trey. He's checking off the site plan that Mr. Ben completed with any notes, and he presses send. And now, very important here, look what's going to take place. The are all comments addressed residential step is now set to a status of plan review response needed. Remember, with your requirement statuses, we can configure them to kind of say whatever you want, but we've really developed this method where we can have some for certain steps, and this is a great one. When you're using this method where you have someone else sending the letter, plan review response needed is super clear. It's not going to allow the workflow to advance because we configured out the way so it stopped right there. And so now the letter is going back to the contractor, and we're going to come back to this and see how we process it when we get a response. But Trey's got the letter. Let's see what Mr. Trey does with that. Oh, we're at Q&A. Caught up on me. All right. So let's take a break there for a second, and let's see what questions we got. Jennifer, thank you so much. With automated letters or placards, we've run into staff unintentionally interrupting the automation, causing errors in what should populate or dates not being generated for issuance. How can this be fixed, especially when it's a walk-in customer and we need to rush through these automated features? All right, so Ken, have you seen anything of kind of how you advise jurisdictions to kind of properly do that?
You know, it's certainly not prevalent, but it's not to say that it doesn't occur. All I would say is just to make sure that your workflows are structured so that the automated tasks are in priorities alone. In other words, you don't have other tasks that are, manual tasks that are being completed by a person, and you also have an automated task within the same priority. So, just kind of structuring it that way, I think, lends itself to be much more consistent. Again, it's certainly not prevalent, so we can look at that one-off case for sure. And beyond that, if a customer comes in, and obviously you don't want to wait this time for these tasks to be completed automatically, you can just complete the task, to complete them, to send the invoice, even though they're technically right there in front of you, mark the fees as being completed and paid, and then issuing the permit. Just complete them manually. It should certainly execute and run those automation tasks, but if you're finding that it's not, it also could be something within the actual procedure that's running tied to the task, and that would be an internal thing that we would want to investigate on your unique configuration. But there's thousands of these that occur on a daily basis, and it certainly isn't prevalent.
And then just to add to that, for if like the permit placard, you can manually put in the date, but didn't we also change the integration time
I was about to talk about that.
from 10 minutes to like 3 or 4? It runs.
About no more than, I'll talk about it in a bit, but yeah. So great point, Amber, stealing my thunder. No. But it used to be that it could be up to 10 minutes. Does that mean it was always 10 minutes? No. It just means that we have a batch that's running, and worst case, it could take up to 10 minutes. But sometime last year, early this year, I don't remember exactly when, we improved that to no more than 5 minutes. So that means it could have gone 10 seconds or it could have been 5 minutes. My goal for this year is I actually want to rebuild that whole system, and I want to have it instant. So we haven't done that yet. We haven't started that yet, so I'm not promising, but my goal is that this year, if we can redesign that system, I want to have it real time, and that's going to really help. So if you have that walk-in customer, you can do the task, and it won't matter. You won't even be able to beat the system to it. It'll already have it marked as complete, and it's running. So that's what we're working on.
Unrelated, but I just wanted to mention a cool feature. I glanced over and saw Johnny over here, Johnny Scholl with Amarillo, Texas. But in their jurisdiction, I thought this was really neat. they require, prior to the workflow moving on to plan review, they require an application fee to be paid. It's not the full permit fees, but they have to pay the $45 up front or whatever that standard cost is before they're going to allow that to go into their plan review phase to start plan review. And it's really neat because what they have is an ordinance that says that, hey, you know, they can submit this application, we're going to process it, we're going to send them an invoice, and then it's on them. They have to pay that application fee, but sometimes they may not pay it. And if it goes 46 days or 45 days, on the 46th day, we have automation tied that if they have not paid that application fee, the MGO system will automatically withdraw that application by updating the status. You know, not expired, but withdrawn is the technical status we use for that, to show that it's no longer a pending permit. And then automatically also a form letter or a message is emailed to the applicant noting the project number, the address, and some minimal details, and just to let them know that, look, the application has been withdrawn. If you still intend to proceed with this, you'll need to submit a new application. And I just thought that was really, you know, just a great idea. And I wanted to mention that to everyone here so that you're not manually you know, updating those statuses, and or you end up with just a bunch of pending permits that sit there forever and nothing really happens with those. So those are some things that we can do with automation as well. Just wanted to mention that. I thought it was pretty neat.
Great feedback. Yeah, I saw a quick question up there earlier. I think it got answered, but could you have more than one file? Absolutely. You could select files on your local computer to go out with a system. You could also attach other files that are in the system. All right, when info is needed, and that is identified to the customer through the letter that Ken sent, is the customer told to contact Ben, or are they contacting Ken if they have questions, or is that up to the jurisdiction? So by default, what they're really just doing is just responding to the jurisdiction. So they don't really have to talk to a particular person. If they got the comments, they can correct it, they can re-upload it in the system, and then whoever is going to process it that you've identified is going to do it. So that could be Ken, could be Ben, could be Amber. It's just who it is in the workflow is going to handle that. But I'm going to let Ken have some other comments.
You know, just a quick comment on that. It's a great question, and it's really what you want to have happen. The comment letter typically will show the name, email address, and phone number of each reviewer from the department that provided the comments, just in case they want to reach out to that individual. But as it relates to, you know, because they just may have general questions, of course, which is great. But when it's time to resubmit, typically they're resubmitting to respond to, you know, for all of the comments that were relayed. And that process, we really have a great process that we could illustrate for that as well through the online applications. But for the purpose of submitting or responding to plan review comments as an add to existing application, where it doesn't create a new project number, but they're submitting a formalized application, uploading their, you know, their updated drawings and plans. It's really, really, really been an incredibly effective approach to allowing applicants to respond to comments rather than just uploading documents to the project, right? And going into just the plan, you know, the document management. You know, you could actually have that more formalized submittal process for responses to comments. One good one to have a look at on the customer portal would be Indian River County, but many others are starting to adopt that as well. So just wanted to mention that because it has been incredibly helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, on another human error issue, thank you. Some of our plan reviewers, sent out plan letters because they don't put a checkbox near their review comments. Is there a way to Murphy-proof plan review letters going out with no content? So yeah, I never thought about it, but that's a great question. So essentially, you can type in comments, then you generate the letter, but you needed to check off and that's a great feature because now you can have lots of reviewers, but someone like Ken can control what comments go in the letter. But apparently, if you don't check any of them, then you'll end up with a blank letter with no particular comments. So that is something we can look at for a future enhancement. I know there are some jurisdictions that may have a letter there to send it, but aren't sending it, so it might be some kind of a feature we need to look at, because it could help one but hurt another. But yeah, absolutely, anytime we can do things like that, thank you for identifying it. We'll study that and see if we can better do those checks. Can plan review letters be automatically added into a special folder in the documents section? Can documents be dragged from one folder to another within the documents section? Actually, yes, now with MGO Connect. So that's one of the enhancements that we did. So one, you could set up custom folders. I believe, if I'm correct, in the admin tool, we actually created the ability, we did, yep. So even in the admin tool, you can go set up whatever custom folders you want now. That's no longer a support desk item. And in MGO Connect, you can move files from one folder to the other. The way it works is that you just check which file you want, and you'll notice there'll be a paste icon next to the folder. You just go click that paste button next to the folder, then it'll move whatever files you selected. Really, really neat. There is one little limitation right now. It's like the, I forgot what it was, but I think moving files from the plan review folder to the additional documents doesn't work, but any of the other folders work between each other, or plan review, something like that. But we are working to address that. But generally speaking, practically, it shouldn't even be an issue for you. But even that is going to be fully movable, but you can do that now with MGO Connect. All right, next, how can we know if another permit tech is reviewing the same permit? So great news for plan reviewers, you can do that now. We illustrated that earlier. Literally, it just pops up on the screen and say, hey, Amber connected to this review. Oh, here's everything that Amber's doing. With applications, we don't have that same real-time prompts that two people are on the application or on the permit, but actually it's something that's on my future list that we're looking at. We want to do it on plan review first. I want to finish that critical features list that I talked about in my opening, so that's my real priority. But after that, we already have the technology that I want to have things that if you have two people on the same application, you can see it'll alert you with a prompt. So if Kelly's looking at the application and then Jim hops on, boom, she'll know that Jim's looking at it, and she can look in the audit trail and see what Jim's doing to mess up her permit application, right? Jim, get out of my application. I'm doing it. So more of those types of things that we illustrated for review, we're going to be doing a lot more of that on the permit itself and on the reviews. Just give it a little time, but those are definitely things in my lights, what I'm trying to do.
What about the assign to on the application?
Yeah, that's it. So some jurisdictions, they actively manage and assign out their applications. I know most of you don't, and you don't have to. It's completely optional. But if you're assigning it, then it's not an issue because they're not going to see it. But that's kind of a business practice thing. All right, so if Trey owes money, not paying your bills again, huh? On a previous application, but submits applications for other projects, how does the system handle that? So we do have ways to handle that. So that gets into what Talia's talking about. I know she's done some sessions, especially with the new things with the contractor registration. So if you want to track, we have lots of stuff now that we can determine that if there's certain balances, or if there's really what it does is there's a way to put the license into kind of a trouble status and then stop them from applying for more of the licenses. So it's going to be more than one feature, but really all these types of things. So we have a long list of them we can do now. Not letting the contractor request inspections that they don't have a valid license for. That's a big one. We can do that. If there's problems with their license for any reason, maybe they got we have the state investigator at our office not that long ago, right? So maybe there's some investigations going on and you just don't want them pulling jurisdictions. You can go put things on their license and stop them from pulling things. So lots of different reasons we have to do it, not just one.
GIS and related projects.
Yep, that's another one. Can the MGO system email the case manager that new comments or files have been added to a project? Yes, we do have ways to do that. Well, one easy way is we could set up, there's a couple of different things we have. So one, and let me say before I get into it, We do, we really are big about trying to get you out of your email, right? Does anybody just love getting email? Is everybody flooded with email like I am and you miss them all the time? So that's the problem with email. We're just so can't even trust your email anymore because it might be a phishing attempt, right? You can get into all kind of trouble. So there's all kinds of problems with relying on email to do work. So we're much bigger about getting people to check their queues and work through the software to be alerted to things. We're doing more with push notifications. But with that said, if you really want the emails, we do have options to do it. So one, what you can do is we could set up a report that could be sent automatically a couple of times a day, that if there's any files, and it'll just give you a list. So maybe you just want one once a day. Here's a list of all the files in case I forgot to check my queue. I get emailed. So that's one way. City of Lafayette, we worked with them to have a feature where the plan review for Lafayette, the plan reviewers send the letter. They don't have a Ken doing that. They just let the plan reviewers do it. And what they do, there's a feature we turned on, and we can do it for anybody, that if the plan reviewer sends the letter, what they do is they use that assign to and that requirement to assign it to themselves. And then when the file gets uploaded on that project, they're automatically receive an email in real time letting that plan reviewer know that a file has been uploaded. And I believe that's worked out very well for them for that situation where they just want that email, and they want it for that plan reviewer that put it in a problem and only him to be alerted and not everybody. That's a functionality that you can do. You just turn on the feature, and then your plan reviewer just needs to know if they send out the letter and there's a problem and they're expecting a file return, they just assign themselves and they'll get the email. All right, any more questions on the Slido? Any raised hands for questions from the crowd? Yes, ma'am. Oh, thank you, Trey.
So if currently it's showing that they have a license, but they've renewed early, so their new license may not go into effect until next month. When I try to verify, it's saying that their license is not active yet. Is that on like this software, or is that a problem with the state? Because I know we're hooked in with the contracting
What
board.
jurisdiction are you with?
Covington.
Okay, so for Louisiana, we are integrated with the state database. And so it is automatically doing a check on the state. So I would really just need to see it to see if it's on the local or if it's on the state. I don't recall y'all doing the local contractor checks, so it's probably off the state that it's doing it.
So is that something that the state needs to correct, or is that something that you guys can correct in the system to
No,
reflect?
unfortunately, the state's using their own system for that. We have an API that we're just reading their data. So if the data's incorrect, there's no way for us to correct it. You'd have to report it to the state to correct it.
Yeah, we've been calling to verify, hey, this is saying it's not valid yet, it's not active yet, but do they have an active one? They're like, yeah, they do. And I'm like, well, why is it reflecting that it's not? And they're like, I don't know. You'll have to call them.
Are you seeing that the API or the data you're seeing from the API, which is coming from us, is different than if you go on the website and query and look?
Yes.
Okay. I would point that out to them, and if that happens again, screenshot it. Screenshot what you see in our system, screenshot the state website, send it to me also, and I'll contact someone at the state as well and show them that.
Perfect.
Yeah, but if that's happening, their API is not returning the data, it's not an issue with our system. But I have context there, I can push that with them to help point it out. All right, let's go ahead and continue. Again, post any of your questions. If we don't get to them for some reason, we'll follow up later. All right, so now we're back to Mr. Trey, the contractor. The customer is going to get the letter. He's going to upload the new corrected document. So let's see that in action. All right, so he's in the documents. Success. and the document has been uploaded. All right, so now we're back to Amber. Amber is receiving a notification inside her task queue that let her know a file was uploaded. And so now she just opens that project up. Right here, she can accept and process that file. So this is in the new MGO Connect. So a lot more great features and functionality here, very fast. And she went ahead and accepted that file. Now she's going to come here. Okay, so this is really important. Notice what took place here. Are all comments addressed? And then for Ben's review, she uncompleted it. So that's, really it should have been Ken. We have Amber's name, but I think this is really Ken that would do this. But it doesn't really matter. It's just whoever you want doing that job could do it. But essentially, if you have your permit tech process files as they come in, it could be, and it can still alert the person. It really doesn't matter. But bottom line is that the one that was in info needed, now that we have the corrected letter back, whoever is receiving and processing the file just goes puts that back into due. So even if Ben, he's just doing his job, he's just doing his plan reviews, which is a situation here, we don't want Ben really having to do anything else but plan review. We're backed up on plan review. So we got people, look, they can process files. We got people that send out letters. We want Ben doing plan review. So instead of having to go talk to Ben or follow him, all it is when he puts something in needs info, once we've determined we got what he needs, we just go change his step back to do. Ben's checking his queue. He knows to do it, and it's just that simple. Does that make sense? Yes.
Right now, you can look at the document before you accept it. I didn't see the way you can do that with this.
Did you catch the question? Here.
And you're right, it was not illustrated, but basically there's two ways that an applicant can submit responses to the plan review comments. One way would be that they simply just upload a document to the project via the customer portal. And from there, you have a customer portal uploaded files queue. That queue can be used to see the documents that were uploaded on any given day that are pending to be moved into the project files. And then you would do that process to uncomplete so that the reviewers would know that those files are available. That's one way. A second way is we can do this automation that when a customer uploads a file to a particular project that same way through the customer portal, we can have a requirement task automatically go into the current priority that would then show up in someone's department queue, letting them know that, hey, there are files that have been uploaded to this project. So that's a second option, if that would be a good way to be alerted to that. And then the third way, particularly with responding to plan review comments, right? We are seeing tremendous success, as I was explaining earlier, with making that an actual application process. If you're familiar with the customer portal, when someone is applying online for a permit, there's a second option. You could either start a new application, or you can add, I think it says add an application to an existing project, right? If they choose that option, then now they provide the project number, and we can have the plan review letter, indicating that. But they would just search, find the project, and then now you can have a very minimal application where they basically are indicating that, this is my response to comments, maybe just a simple comment. Then they would upload the files, and now it goes into the application queue as an application called response to plan review comments, rather than a new construction application or something like that. So now it's a more formalized process where, it's now very easily going into this queue where you can now accept that application. And the files, obviously, because it's coming from an application, goes right into the project, and then now you would uncomplete those tasks in that manner. We are seeing a lot of jurisdictions adopting that approach, and it's just really, really slick and very seamless process. And now what you end up having is you're breaking up that process where responses to comments are coming in through the application queue, through that formal submittal process. But documents that are supportive to the building construction process, those just still get uploaded to the project files via the project customer portal files. Things like elevation certificates, form board surveys, notices of commencement, and those things are typically not as critical where you're trying to make sure you get those things routed to a group of plan reviewers and things of that sort. It's usually just being fielded by the permit techs. They review it and check it off as being received. So those are the three manners that you could really look at that approach based on what would be most advantageous for your jurisdiction. But that essentially clarifies that you didn't see that part, but those are three opportunities in how you could do that. The one that I absolutely really have promoted heavily is through that application submittal option. It's really neat.
So how does that come in? Because usually when you do the apply to an existing permit, it comes in as electrical.
That is correct. You're exactly right.
How does that come in? Do you create a whole nother
Application.
section where the, sorry. Wow, that's rare. I'm always talking about. How does that come in? How does that come in when you pull it in? Because it's going to create another contact.
Yes, it does. You're right. Correct. That's great. That's a great assessment. And we want it to, the contact won't be electrician, plumber, mechanical, right? It would say submitter. And it's basically just indicating the person that submitted that response to those plan review comments. So it comes in the exact same way. So you basically are leveraging that same functionality, not for a subcontractor permit, but for a response to comments and letting that be more of a formalized process. And now you can have the application list out departments, and they can indicate, which departments they're responding to with checkbox lists, just general comments or remarks, and then they upload their files. But yeah, it's not creating a new project number. It's a submitter is the contact type. It just adds that as an additional new contact in the list. You can have as many of those, of course, that you need over time. And it's just really I'm sure you can probably ascertain that it just really has been a very, very cool and effective way to take that approach to receiving responses to comments.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Awesome.
All right, so now we're back to Mr. Ben, our plan reviewer, and he's doing his work daily. He doesn't know any of this stuff. He doesn't care. He just does reviews. But here's a building review in his queue. So because it's put back into due, he can now go do the review again. He sees the file that's there. He can see the date timestamp. He can see who uploaded it. He can go ahead and check out the plans, see what he thinks about it. He's back putting whatever comments that he wants. He's going to type one in, a building review comment. This is now complete. He's going to add the comment and save it. Fantastic. All right, so now he's going to update his requirement to complete. Now look, all the reviews are done under stage 6. So fantastic. We're not really seeing it here. Oh, 5, excuse me, thank you. Oh, we did see it. It just went quick. All right, jumped on me. All right, so all the reviews in stage 5 were complete, fantastic. If it was expanded out, which we can do, it's just collapsed here for screen space, I'm sure, we would see 2 reviews done, and now we've advanced to 6 and back into our all comments addressed. So with Mr. Ken, the manager, who's making sure that the public's happy, Ben's not blowing up people again with hostile statements. So he's looking at things, telling them like it is. All right, so everything's looking good. He's going to the letter generator. He's checking the comments, Pretty soon he'll be able to click an AI button that could fix the comments. Maybe we can have a prompt like, be more polite. And just reword it to be more polite. I think I'm joking, but this is a real thing we're going to do. All right, so now he's sending out, he generated the letter. He's sending it to Mr. Trey, the contractor. And he's going to go ahead and mark our all comments addressed to complete, which is fantastic. We're now out of the plan review loop. And now we can see that looks like there's some money to pay. So we're out the review. We got some fees we need to take care of. But all of that with just a couple of button clicks is being done. All right, now we're moving forward with the customer side of things. So Trey, once again, he gets the invoice automatically. Nobody had to do that. He just gets the invoice. It tells him what to do. He can go ahead and take care of paying the outstanding balance. Again, if he was a contractor and we use the features, they have to be configured and turned on. It could stop him if he was too much in arrears. But here we are. And it looks like everything was auto-issued because he paid it, so he got his permit. So again, did you see anybody here have to issue the permit? No, because we have a requirement that auto-issue. So it just looked for him to pay it, and then once he paid it, he was then automatically issued the permit. And when you start doing automations like this is where you start getting a true 24-hour system and really taking advantage of people's time. Because now you can have things where the contractors, we know how it is because I do the same thing. You need your daylight hours to work in the field. You don't want to be doing paperwork. You want to do paperwork when it's dark, at nighttime. So now you can have things where that permit tech, if they can just at least get the fees done, it can be 4:30, they can slam off the computer, they can leave. The system's still working for you. You still got an employee 24 hours a day. It's sending the invoice, the contractor can see that. He goes, you know what, I'm gonna finish working on this foundation. I'm gonna get to that tonight. And then he can go at night, he can go pay, he can get auto-issued the permit, automatically ready for the next step, probably to call in all the inspections that he already did that day that he needs to get inspections in for, right? So, but it's working. It's what we need to have happen. All right, so we're at no, I think we got one more. Okay, thank you. So let's see what he might try to do next. Mr. Trey's kind of crafty. He's got his permit, and let's take a look. If I look at the right screen, probably help. Okay, he's going to request his inspectors. He's got a permit, may have already done some work here. Oh, what happened? All right, and we got an alert because what did he try to do? He tried to request an inspection, but he doesn't have the proper contractor license. So the system stopped him and explained why he could not request. You may be the GC, but this needs to be the electrician that's with the proper license. Now, this is an optional feature, but we wanted to illustrate it. By default, the system is not this restrictive. But if you want it to be, it can be. So these are things you can really start to get to. Now look, let me give you a warning, because jurisdictions do this and we're the ones that get blamed. They see these kinds of features, they go, this is great. I'm gonna make my job easy. And then they work with us to turn on all these restrictions, never tell the public, just turn them on. Now the contractors here, I was always able to do this, then y'all got this MGO junk software. No, that is not what, they're calling blowing up the help desk, saying I could always do this. We're telling them you got to call the jurisdiction. So it's a mess, right? All you need to do to make this a success is advertise. If you want to do this, that's fantastic. But I kind of explain it a lot like getting a new TV from Best Buy. If I went into your house today and I took the TV you had and gave you a brand new state-of-the-art TV, and when you got home and you didn't know nothing about it, you'd probably be mad, even though I gave you a new TV. Why? Because you don't know what it does. You don't know the value. You know that you used to be able to open the room and do this, now you got this Bluetooth whatever thingy, and you don't know. You're gonna just be mad about it, even though I gave you the latest state-of-the-art thing. But if you went to Best Buy,
Talk to the Best Buy guy. He sold you on the features. He explained why it's like this because it's a little more efficient, or you could do this. And then I said, we're going to give you this TV for free. You'd be ecstatic. Same situation, but just a little planning and explanation completely changes the reaction of the people. Our customer portal and these features are the exact same thing. If you take some time to do outreach and explain why you're going to have these restrictions, how it's going to make you more efficient, how you can give them a better turnaround time, they're going to be excited about it. They're not going to have a problem with it. But if you just surprise them with it, they're calling the city manager and they're just saying this junk software you got is terrible, get rid of it, because they don't understand it's just processes that you chose, right? So keep this in mind. These are great features. We want you to use them, and we will help you educate your public. We'll do demos with your public so they can be aware, so they can receive it, and it can be a great experience. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, got another question. On that, if they have an electrician on the permit, can the GC schedule an electrical inspection? Or does it have to be the electrician that does it?
As long as you allow it, then yes. Now, by default, they can. Yeah, it's only if we restrict it like we were trying to show here would it be that way. So something has to be done to restrict, otherwise that's the default. All right, so let's take a couple of questions. Can you prevent inspection from being scheduled if the permit is not issued? Absolutely. So that's just with the project statuses. We can control at any status if inspections can be done or not. Can we remove the AM/PM option for contractors scheduling inspections? They all select AM, which we cannot accommodate, and of course, it's anonymous. I don't know which jurisdiction to help you, but yes, whoever you are, just let us know and we can help you with that. Is that something they can do in the admin tool themselves yet?
I don't think it is yet.
Okay. All right, we have the contractor applicant sign the permit during permit issuance. If it auto sends the permit, how do we get the signature on the permit? So one question I would ask you is, do you really need to continue to have them manually sign a permit? Largely, this is an older practice that you don't have to continue forward. There's other ways you can do it. One of which is you can put your conditions and restrictions that you're trying to get them to sign for on the application as part of submittal. You can put them in the permit document just saying as part of you accepting this application and you're agreeing to these things. It's kind of, we grew up in the 80s thinking that signature is gold, but it doesn't give you the legal protections you think it does. You have to be able to prove who signed it. It's something I would recommend just kind of reevaluating what you're doing there and essentially getting a digital signature in another way. But now there are things that Arch Stratos and maybe others are talking about that if you want to kind of do a DocuSign type way for them to sign, they have ways to do that. I don't know that that's necessary to do, but if that's what you want, there are ways it could be achieved. Okay, why can't a GC schedule inspections when his MEPS license is expired? Trey, do you want to kind of take the variations on that?
Yeah, so there are multiple ways that this can sort of be determined by your configuration. So it also depends on what is enabled for your jurisdiction. So for example, we can have an option that is forcing active licenses, and only active licenses are allowed. By default, we keep that on. However, it could be turned off for you in that moment. But there are also some ways with that restriction that we had earlier that you can actually limit it to the exact license that can be restricted itself. If that's something that you have, come talk to me and Talia as well. She can help sort of facilitate the best way to go about that.
All right, and then is the auto issuance of a permit, does it record inside the permit? So if the auto issuance happens, is there some way for us to see that that occurred? Yes. So in the project comments, it'll actually put right there, and I believe it even shows the document that was sent out. So yeah, it'll be right there where you could, if you pull it up, you could see what was sent to them. Are there any plans to be able to set AM and PM limits for inspections? Not, need a little clarification on that question. Yes, go ahead, Jeff. Yes. Good, no, great question. Thank you, I understand now. So we have a feature today that, and it's in the admin tool, I believe now, that you can go in and say, look, if I only want 50 electrical inspections for today, and then we're gonna stop people from making any more, you can do that. Now, some jurisdictions want to go beyond that, and Jeff with San Bruno is saying, hey, could we set it where from 5 o'clock in the morning to 11, or the AM essentially, could they get 25, so they don't kind of get the 50 right away, and then it'll stop for a while, and then maybe from noon to 6, they could get another 25. We don't have a feature like that to that level of detail yet, but that is things that we're working on to get a lot more detailed. There's some other situations that we're looking at as well. I want to get past all the kind of the critical MGO Connect. Later this year, that is something I have on my roadmap that I want to spend a deeper dive in, and we can talk about more detailed situations, and we want to get those in the admin tool where you can control it.
And one clarification really quickly, it's by project type, that limit, not per exact inspection. I believe that's
thank you.
what we're working towards, but it's right now it's based on project type. So for example, if you set a limit of 50 inspections, it'll be 50 permit inspections specifically. And I believe right now also if they cancel it, right now it's counting towards that. I think we are going to be removing that as well.
All right, is there a change to a permit and money is owed? If there is a change to a permit and money is owed, can the system flag the inspection to let them know fees are owed? Yeah, I'm gonna let you answer.
Absolutely, 1,000%. If that's what you would like to have happen within the application, or the process of any given permit. For example, let's just say one easy one is reinspection fees. Okay, so they had an inspection conducted, and now they owe reinspection fees. If you would like at that very moment to not allow any inspections to be requested because there are fees due, we have the ability to control that until they pay the reinspection fee. Or we can, basically have that set up by discipline. So if it was a electrical inspection and thus there's a reinspection fee due for that inspection that was completed, but maybe there's some plumbing inspections in the same priority, they could still do the plumbing, but we can control it to where they wouldn't be able to schedule the electrical inspections if that would be your preference. But yes, absolutely, we do have ways of doing that. Additionally, we do have in a lot of workflows where some jurisdictions will allow them to continue having inspections and sort of accrue the reinspection fees that they may be accruing on a project. But prior to the priority containing the building final inspection, we can have a task in the workflow that asks, are all permit fees paid? And it effectively, what it's doing is making sure that before they get to that priority with the building final, if there are any outstanding fees whatsoever, including maybe even impact fees that you let them pay late, right, in the construction process. But at that point, they've gone far enough where they now need to pay and obtain a zero balance, and then they would continue moving ahead. So absolutely, it's just a matter of just working with us, and that's a pretty straightforward configuration. We could get that done for you. And I did want to just clarify that with subcontractor permitting, there was a time when it was a true limitation of the software, and the only way you could have assurance to make sure that you had a listed electrician, mechanical plumber, and they've obtained those permits, whether they cost $0 or some cost for those permits. You had to really just make sure that they pulled all of those permits all up front, right, at the time that the building permit was being issued. But now we have a lot of configuration options, so you can issue the building permit, and if that first inspection is a plumbing rough-in, even though they have that building permit in hand, the status of the overall project is permit issued. But if you require that you have to have a listed plumber, maybe even a plumbing permit fee paid, or both. And of course, they need to be active naturally. Then, the system can be configured now that even though the status of that project is permit issued, they will not be allowed to request that specific type of inspection because they have not obtained that requisite subcontractor permit. All of that configuration is now definitely available. You don't have to charge a permit fee. It could be just $0 effectively, you know what I mean? Or it can have a fee associated, but naturally you definitely have measures to control all of that, rather than, having, right after plan review is completed, priority that says issue building permit, issue electrical permit, issue mechanical permit, all in one priority, because a lot of times they're not ready for mechanical until way later, and these types of things like that. So we can control that not by the status of the overall project, but by other measures that are being controlled by the subcontractor. It's a specialized tool, but certainly very easy to get that set up for you.
Great, thank you. So once your permit is issued, can MGO auto-notify applicants about their expiration dates? For example, your permit is set to expire in 1 month. Please submit the required blank to keep your permit active. Absolutely. We do need to set that up for you, and we need to know those details, right? Sometimes there's, can we just have it auto-notify? Yeah, but we need to know what you want it to say, what time period, how many times. But as long as you can specify that with us, we can absolutely do that. Can you auto-assign inspections based on discipline and region of inspector? Yes. In fact, you're going to see that first thing tomorrow morning. Very kindly, Indian River County, they use this all the time, and they recorded a video for us, I think either yesterday morning or maybe this morning. Thank you, it feels like yesterday already. But we have a video from this morning and it's incredible. So they have this work order board. I mean, they're gonna have 300-400 inspections on there with all these inspectors and private providers. They hit this auto button because that's how they want to do it. It could just happen as it goes. But they come in the morning, they queue it up, they press a button, and it looks like AI. It's not, but it looks like it. And things just start moving, and and within seconds, everything is redistributed just for that. But we can do custom auto assignments on anything at all that you want to do. We can have it as it comes in. We can have it with a button click. We're very strong there. Is there a way for the applicant to add or change the contractor during the inspection process? I.e., larger home builders change their supers and the new super needs to be added to a permit to see and schedule inspections. There is. The most common way to do this is, it's not a way to do it by default, right? Because we don't just want people changing your contacts without you knowing. The most common way is you can put an online form that people can go fill out, and it's kind of like an application, but you're gonna do it with the add to existing feature. In fact, we're gonna look at this feature more tomorrow. So it's not a new application. What they would do is it would be just a form they fill out, very simple. They just go search for their existing permit. They fill out change of supervisor form or whatever you want to call it, collect whatever information. They submit it. You make sure you're good. Maybe you want to check, because I've also heard of contractors trying to change themselves. I don't know how they thought they could get away with that, but I've heard it where they just go say, I'm the new contractor, and they're not. But so you can vet that, but if you're good with it, you just press accept, and it can add them in, and you're good to go. Is there a way to hold all rough-in inspections until all subs have called in? Yes, I think that's just going to be in how you set up your workflow, but yes. Can the inspections be imported into an Outlook calendar? I actually do have a feature for this. It's part of the MGO Tasks app, but I haven't tested it in a very long time. I kind of built it, and we kind of rushed off with things, and it's been something I've been meaning to kind of come back to make sure it's working and start marketing it. Short answer is yes, but we need to do some testing with it. But this is something with integration with Outlook. I do, once again this year, I can get past the critical things. I want to start pushing a lot more stuff with that, and also tying it in with AI. So where you can have these AI things that are kind of managing your inspection schedules, looking at your personal calendar to make decisions,
That's all things we got in research and development right now. Keep the questions coming. Can MGO auto-assign requirements like it can for work orders? Yes, I believe so. So the common ways that we might see that is actually like with the GIS integration. So based off of, hey, it's in this zoning area, we don't need a floodplain zone, and it automatically removes that requirement or adds it in. So usually I see it like that. Could we potentially do other things? Yes, but I would just need to know the details. Usually you're not doing assignments, but if you had some methodology that you want to assign out requirements and some criteria, absolutely, we could do that. I just need to understand what they are. All right, any other questions? All right, was this class helpful? Fantastic. We'll take it. Thank you so much. We work really hard. I want to give a special thanks to Trey, and we have other people with Trey back at the office. They work on putting all these videos and things together for over a week. Then they got to deal with me saying, oh, this ain't right, go re-record the whole thing. So special thanks to them for really stopping what they're doing and doing this. Look, we're not done. Tomorrow, we're going to do another putting it all together. So we're going to pick up 8 o'clock in the morning. We're going to go through the inspections, and we're going to continue this example and finish the permit. So we're going to pick up with trades who are going to want to file under this permit. We're going to look at virtual inspections, how that's done. We're going to see the automatic issuance of the certificate of completion, and then the auto close of the project, finishing the whole thing out. So y'all have a great night. Enjoy New Orleans. Don't enjoy New Orleans too much, but I hope to see you 8 o'clock in the morning. Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a good night.